right, everybody. Welcome to JCLive, your weekly source for JCL news and fun. I'm your host, Mr. Kurt Ristroff, Publications Chair for the National Junior Classical League, an organization for middle and high school students in classical courses. And with me today are three very special guests. Four, actually. One just poked its head out from behind Anne. Our three special guests here to talk to us about their paths from JCL to performing arts, to theater, to film, to those industries are Trace Turner, the man who follows me everywhere I go. We'll talk about that. Vincent Bianca, who you may know as Joe Cicero, and Ann Nguyen, the current NSCL editor. Welcome to the show, y'all. How's it going?
Good.
Great.
Be here.
It's a good time.
It's
Hanging out, got some tea, just living it.
Good. It's so good to have you. Here, let me turn on the music. Forgot about that.
Gotta get that music.
Yeah.
Oh, the ambience, yes.
2 hours
Very
of cinematic ambient music, but it's an hour-long show, so we've got extra music.
So, we gotta make the show longer now.
Yeah, we can make this.
There's
2
nothing
hours.
saying we
Our
can't.
show.
We can do it. We can drag it out.
So, how's it going? What have y'all been up to?
Waiting for the global fun time to end. Yeah.
Gotcha. How about the other two?
Yeah.
Okay. I just moved into my new apartment in Los Angeles, so no
Nice.
longer a Central Time gal. I'm a Pacific Time girl now.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've also moved West Coast, so I'm up in Seattle, so Pacific Coast is where I'm at now.
Well, thank you both for meeting us at 5 p.m. local time. That's fun. Let's start with informal introductions. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? I've given the audience your name, but nothing else. Trace, why don't you go first?
Okay, I'm originally from Austin, Texas. I did JCL from like 7th grade until all through college. I was NJCL officer for a time, and then I was NJCL editor in 2013, and then an SCL editor and an SCL VP and an SCL president, each time following Ritzstroff. And then I went to college in Missouri, and then I've been working in theater and doing my own writing ever since. Now it's 2021, which is insane.
For me, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I did LJCL all my years of high school. Was LJCL Histo, then president, and now in SCL. We love LSCL here, and of course NSCL editor. And yeah, I go to the University of Southern Cal in Los Angeles, and I'm a film student there.
I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm still in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I know, crazy. Did JCL in high school, was first VP, did SCL. I guess I'm still in SCL, yeah. Did a lot of That's Entertainment stuff, because I love That's Entertainment. Did that for both state and national PE stuff. I just graduated from LSU in May of 2020 with a degree in theater, concentrations in performance and physical theater. So I've done a lot of especially like physical theater-y stuff. And right now, waiting to see how things shape out, and then I'll start really aggressively attacking that career.
What does physical theater mean, Vincent?
Yeah, I should explain. So physical theater is it's a bit more, because there's a lot to talk about what it means, but like if you can think of like dance, but still about form, less about form, but like also about telling the story with your body. So like Cirque du Soleil and circus, that's physical theater. I don't do stuff quite as rigorous as that. I focus more on the storytelling aspect, but if you imagine acrobatics, like juggling, it's a large Venn diagram circle of what physical theater is, but like that Cirque is a good example for what physical theater is.
Okay. So, some places, because Vincent said that he has experience with That's Entertainment at Louisiana and at Nationals. Some places don't have a talent show at their state convention.
Oh no!
Oh
Looking-
wait, yes we do. We do, but it's nothing like That's Entertainment. It's truly like just a talent show.
There's no like SCL skits or anything?
Oh man!
When I was last doing it, yeah, we had like a host who sort of like would introduce everybody and sort of talk us through. But other than that, yeah, it was mostly just like the talent show, and you get a cash prize.
That was always the threat in Louisiana. Like when I was doing SCL and like we were running That's Entertainment, we'd come up with more and more elaborate nonsense, and it became like 50% SCL and 50% student acts. And the state chairs eventually were like, if y'all don't tone it back, we're gonna kick out the SCL and just like walk up on stage. Next act is this. Like put the student on the stage, let the student do the act, and rinse and repeat because they got tired of all the SCL takeover.
I mean, Vincent was LSCL's That's Entertainment chair one year.
I was the TE chair for the 1 year that I did it. It was a good time.
Fun time. We wrote a parody to the year 3000.
We did that. That was when the Jonas Brothers they reunited, and we said, well, we gotta make a little parody, so we did.
Well, is that what got you into wanting to major in theater and things like that, Vincent?
I was already majoring in theater. No, what got me into it was I was in high school, and I started to like doing theater. And a little noise that people had told me about saying, you can't succeed in the arts, don't even try. And I got sad. But then later I decided that's what I wanted to do anyway. So, forget what they say. I was going to try it anyway. And that's the other thing about I'll find success. I'm confident about that. But we got to talk about what success means exactly. Success won't mean I'm going to be an A-list actor starring in big movies and winning, an EGOT. I'm going to talk about what that means for myself, and that means finding some level of fulfillment with a creative outlet and letting that still take a part of my life.
Totally. I heard from an actor one time who described it as the job so much is more about the in-between, about finding the next gig, because then the gig is like vacation, because it's
right.
You get to do the thing you love, and you're having the best time, and you're just working. So the rigor comes from the in-between time, and now we're in this huge in-between time.
It's a very big in-between time.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't stopped being an actor, but it's a big in-between time. That's what's going on.
Yeah, totally.
Very similar with film, kind of, and working more on the behind the camera stuff. You just have to keep writing, keep working, because right now everything's at a standstill, but you have to be prepared for when kind of everything starts back up. But like Vincent, yeah, similar start where everyone was telling me, no, you shouldn't do art things. That's not for you. When, inside you're like, yes, film is all I want to do,
So how did you pick film in particular?
So when I was little, actually, I loved just telling stories. I thought I was going to be a novelist. And back then my parents said, you can be a doctor and still write on the side. And I just said, okay. But in high school, I realized I really wanted to do film. But at that point, kind of parents were telling me I should just play it safe. Maybe you can take classes on the side. So I applied to the best film school. And when they said yes, I was like, okay, I can be an engineer here. I guess, but still get to take fun film classes. Freshman year sucked though, because I would take my engineering classes back to back with my film classes, and that's really just, if I didn't know before, I really knew then that I was supposed to be making movies, and that's what I was good at and what I love to do.
So can you all three of you give us some perspective, because we were talking before the show and I was telling these fine folks that I know almost nothing about their line of work. And so even like in Vincent's introduction, you mentioned the two concentrations that you had. Can y'all give us, so there are those concentrations. I'm assuming there are other concentrations. Trace, I know you've worked as an actor and you've done a lot of directing work, so that's another aspect to the job. And yeah, I know that there's opportunity in film and in television, and that those are probably different. So can y'all describe sort of all of these options for these different aspects of the career as y'all see it?
When I was at LSU, there were a lot of concentrations. So I took performance, which was like, it was like the acting concentration. I want to be an actor. I do that. Physical theater is another one where it was particularly aerial silks based. And aerial silks is you see fabric hanging from a ceiling. You get a dancer who's good at like going around and kind of climbing up and making poses and stuff. That's aerial silks. And there was two more concentrations, or three more. One was film and television. One was tech and design. Other one is theater studies, and theater studies is one that gets overlooked a lot, but a lot of theater is in the, like, you see the actors on stage, and then backstage you see design aspect, and you see after that you see there are directors, like the stagehands, people that were working to help produce it as well, producers. And you also have people whose job it is to research the plays, make sure that we're keeping things accurate, especially in plays that are like period pieces. You see people research like, okay, this is the kind of clothing you'd see in the area, these are the kind of like people they were, it's just like the society it was based in. That's a lot of theater studies stuff. But I just started rambling. I kind of lost a lot what's going on. But like there are a lot of opportunities out there that they're not, like, a career in theater and film isn't just being on the camera and being right behind the camera. You can be like 20 feet behind the camera, or like somewhere else in the theater building, and still having helped produce this wonderful piece of art.
Yeah, when I was in school, there were a multitude of majors, and they were sort of split between performance side, which was like acting, musical theater, and then what they called DTSM, which stood for design, tech, and stage management. And directing sort of fell in like the gray area in between. Which is what my major was. But you sort of end up, as a directing major, hopping through almost every department and having like to work with technical directors on like how to build a set, or set designers on how it should look, and then the costume design and the sound design, and then working with stage management to make scheduling. And basically what I'm trying to say is, like, once I got behind the table, I thought there was just going to be the one chair, but in fact there are so many chairs behind the table, trying to make it all coordinate and happen with so many different kinds of people thinking about different kinds of things. So yeah, it's like, to work in like the theater or the film, like exactly like Vincent was saying, there's so many components to that, because it sort of all has to get poured into a single event. So there's tons of opportunity, and it's always changing too. In the pandemic, for me, I've been writing way more than I ever have before, which has been cool and exciting, and something I didn't know was in my wheelhouse, and now I'm sort of working on it. But yeah, there's so much to do within any given like art umbrella field.
Yeah, I used to do a little bit of theater in high school with Vincent.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot of similarity between film and theater, though ultimately kind of what you can do with it, it's like these two different worlds, because with theater, you're kind of on that stage, and it's all live, whereas with film, of course, you have different camera angles, and lots of multiple takes, and everything can change within the editing room. So it kind of takes that live bit and then breaks it all apart even more. So like Trace and Vincent were saying, there's so much you can do. With my major in film and TV production, we kind of go through all of that. So you learn how to produce projects, direct, edit, sound, cinematography. And underneath all of that, there are so many branches, like production design and lighting, electric. It's a lot you can do behind the camera, and on the camera too, it's different than acting for theater. I feel screen acting is like they're very different because I've taken kind of an improv class and then an acting for screen class, and they were so off. But they're both really fun experiences, and kind of being in the performing arts, it's fun to go around and kind of try a little bit of everything, see what you like, and yeah, just always kind of working on that one thing and kind of building your own voice.
So, an inevitable question that's going to come up. We mentioned this again before the stream. We were talking a little bit. Vincent, you said you were going back through and thinking about the classical imagery that shows up. So, what can you all tell me about that specifically? This is from JCL to theater and film.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I mean, I can recall just reading and having to replace our classes and like taking classes about history of theater, is that like theater kind of came out of the Greeks and the Romans. Classical civilizations did a lot of theater, and we look at that kind of stuff, and people and like playwrights throughout history reference both myths and also plays that have been written before, and like even Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet based on the story of Pyramus and Thisbe, and then also uses Pyramus and Thisbe in like Midsummer Night's Dream. So you see plenty of classical references in like Shakespeare, but also other shows, plays, movies take inspiration off of classical studies. I was thinking about like part of the JCL creed, Torts of Classical Civilization, Modern World. Was a literature, laws, language, and art. So there's a different order for that. But like literature and art, that's theater inclusive in that, and film inclusive
Government
in that.
and law, literature, language, and arts.
Yeah, that's the order. All I know is the SCL one, where the Iron Fist shows up. But
oh god, yeah,
it's a classic. But like that's part of us as SCLs and JCL is to bring forth, I guess, the knowledge and appreciation for the art that has existed in the past today. Yeah.
For me, I feel like I think about the Greeks and the Romans like constantly, especially when I'm working. Because to me, I mean, like Vincent was saying, like they sort of began theater in a lot of ways. It's sort of the oldest art form. And for me, when I see a moment on stage and like it becomes sort of an isolating moment of me with the actor, and it feels just like I'm just listening to a story, then I feel like it feels so Grecian and it feels so old, and it has such like a root to it that connects like everybody, just hearing and listening. So I think about that a lot. And in school, it was surprising to me when we got to Shakespeare, and I really had like no experience with Shakespeare beforehand when it came to like performing it. But as we were getting into the scansion and trying to learn iambic pentameter, I was like, wait, so like if this happens, then like doesn't this happen, and then this? And they're like, no, why are you thinking that this is super hard? I was like, oh, I did a lot of translating of dactylic hexameter for a long time, and then I sort of realized, I was like, oh, Latin poetry like inspired Shakespeare, and so therefore it's sort of
from the classics. And I know I'm always thinking kind of from my mythology roots. I'm very mythology inspired. Actually, like Percy Jackson series was probably what convinced me to take Latin. So very inspired on like taking that, all the stuff that we learned, all those stories, and kind of making something new with it. One of my favorite movies is Gladiator, as completely inaccurate as it is.
But fun,
super fun. And there's so much to draw from in learning about screenwriting basics, storytelling basics too. We always talk about Aristotle. That's always like the number one thing. So there's so much drawn from the classics, and I know I'm constantly referencing it. One of my things that I want to do sometime is like, I mean, Hadestown happened, and
Oh my
huge.
god.
That's right. How could I have forgotten to mention
How we not
Hadestown?
If you haven't listened to the music or watched it somewhere, do it. Hadestown is amazing.
You'll feel so proud as a classics nerd and listening. It's like, oh, I get that reference, and oh, hold on, this.
Kurt, are you out of the loop?
I don't know what this is. I haven't heard
You know
of
what
it before.
Hadestown is? Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh. So Hadestown is this play, it's a musical, that it's the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, but it also combines, like, it tells like in history the myth of like Persephone being brought down to the underworld. So like they tell that story while also telling Orpheus and Eurydice, and it's set in like a like the concept is like Depression era, so everyone's like they're looking for a job, no one's like making any money, but Hades has jobs, so he can help Hades build his wall, but what does that mean? Do you give up a part of yourself to get food and work, but like, are you really free doing that? It's a fun time. Music great.
Yeah, the whole show is it rhymes. The whole show is sung through. The music is like New Orleans jazz style.
Mhm.
It's incredible. The whole show is on the album, which is perfect. Listen to it, Kurt.
Yeah, we're getting some comments in the chat about folks who love Hadestown. So yeah,
No, wait,
appreciation
was
for
it one of the for That's Entertainment at Nationals this year? Someone did a Hadestown thing.
We did. They did a medley.
did?
It was
Yeah,
lovely.
they did a Hadestown medley. I remember that.
Okay.
Absolutely lovely. But yeah, my goal at one point is to do some sort of myth-based musical, but a movie. I don't know, Hadestown producer people, if you want a live adaptation.
Talk to Anais Mitchell. Get Anais Mitchell up in here. Get her.
Mitchell Shopkin, hit us up.
Use your connections.
Have you guys? Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Has anybody like tried to like work or make like a myth thing like into like something from your classic roots into like your art? Or do you have like a reference image that you come back to?
Once for one of my screenwriting assignments, I did kind of it's kind of more Magic Treehouse inspired, I guess, but they were transported to like Pompeii sort of thing, and it became a little comedy.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a little 5-page script, but it was a fun one.
I can't recall where that would have shown up. I feel like I should have done something like, no. Oh, I know what it was. So I was in a show. I did a study abroad when I was a junior, well, going into my junior year at LSU, and it was that summer. And we had produced this show that was like all written by students, created by students, and we used like as the backbone the hero's journey. And the hero's journey was, I don't know what the author was, but he analyzed all these myths and took all the corresponding points and story beats in it and wrote this hero's journey, which is just a basic backbone for myths in the world. And we used the hero's journey as our backbone for it. And we took like the myth of Osiris as part of inspiration. We used like Odysseus's journey as part of it. And we had all these different moving pieces and parts going into it, that in the end we created this thing that you can see where it came from, but it's almost like you had to kind of know what was going on, like with the creation to get those parallels. But that was like a big thing. And we went to Scotland and performed in the Edinburgh International Fringe Festival.
Whoa,
and we did,
cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Well, first we went to France and we performed the show for like a dance school in Aurillac, and like did some tweaking on it. Then we moved to Scotland. We did 14 shows in Scotland, and I had such a blast. I got to see a bunch of other theater also. There's a lot of theater going on there, and that was just so much fun.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've worked a little bit on. I adapted Ovid's Herodes, which is like a bunch of like these love letters from heroines to their heroes. Like there's like Penelope and Medea and Dido, Hero Leander. So I'm working on that and developing into like some kind of performance thing. At first it was just sort of like monologues, and now I'm trying to turn it into like a concert, but I don't know how to do that yet. So it's in limbo.
That sounds so cool, though.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did y'all compete in English oratory, dramatic interpretation, those creative arts things that would be the kinds of things that I would expect theater people to do when you were in JCL?
Yeah, you would have thought I did that. You know, I remember, especially CHS JCL, my high school JCL, was we didn't it was mostly up to the students to organize that kind of stuff, and we would start doing that kind of stuff, and then we wouldn't always follow through because the students we get distracted by other things. But I remember wanting to go see all those things and always having a fun time. That's something I wish most of my energy just went into was in SCL. I think I wanted to do that. I'm gonna put it all into TE, into making like fun skits.
You know that I did all the things: dramatic interpretation, sight Latin reading, English oratory, Latin oratory. English oratory, I know you're supposed to write beforehand, but like most went up there, just improv about friendship for about a minute and a half.
Yeah, gotta get the improv practice.
That's really good. At Nationals, I only ever did sight recitation, and that's because I was either doing officer stuff or Kurtamen. But at state, at TSJCL, we have a play competition that you write like a play, but it's like there's no rules really. It's just like it has to be like 15 minutes, I think. And so someone in our Latin class would like write a play. We would like sort of memorize it and then just like do it at state and see how we did.
That's fun.
At LJCL too, we have original video. So I helped with that once. We also had classic myth and then modern myth. Yeah. I loved helping with the modern myth, writing that, working with the other SJ officers. That's my high school. And then acting in that was always fun. Once we made Jason Derulo a character. I don't really remember how, but he was.
Yeah, that's an area of convention that particularly national, like I competed in those at LJCL. Not any of the group stuff, because like Vincent said, it's sometimes hard to get Catholic High guys together to do anything.
Get everyone into it. Like I wish I would have done those the ones where I had to memorize stuff. And
yeah, except for Spirit. I mean, we're really good at coming together and working in tandem for Spirit. But
we get that energy going. It's a particular thing you'll only get the Catholic High guys into is just being loud.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's turning off the loud that can be hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But at Nationals, I didn't do any of that stuff. Like, I think I did English oratory 1 year. But that was an aspect of convention that I never really have seen. And it was neat this year that with the virtual convention, there a lot of these dramatic interp performances, etc., were all submitted digitally, so they were all videos rather than like a live performance, because in the past couple of years there's been this trend to say like, let's have the winning dramatic interpretation person like perform their art at one of the award ceremonies or something like that. But if you don't go to the award ceremony, you don't see it. But this year there was a video compilation, like a creative arts video compilation that's up on YouTube, that's on our channel. Like and subscribe. And there was one for graphic arts too. So if you don't get a chance to go to the graphic arts viewings, there was a slideshow. And I think that's something that we're probably going to do moving forward, is trying to either film that content or make it available for more people to see. Because I had never seen what dramatic interpretation really is, because I had never gone to that award ceremony, and it's intense, man.
I remember seeing it at Fargo, and I was just drawn in. Like, I didn't know what he was saying, but I I didn't care. I didn't care because I could feel what he was saying. The energy.
Yeah. We got a question from the audience. Dennis Webb asks, what does each panelist think is their best performance up to this time?
Best performance.
That I've done. Man. My personal best performance. There are a lot of things I'm proud of. I don't think I've my best so far, I would say. I mean, in college, I did a lot of ensemble stuff, and I also found a time where I was okay with that, because you're in college, you want to be the star, but eventually you learn that, well, I could still do this and have fun. That's what I did. The last show I did before I had to, before COVID shut down plans, was I was in a piece called Brooklyn Bridge, and it was about the Brooklyn Bridge. It's a theater feeling audience piece about teaching. Gosh, what was it about? It was about finding family, finding family in unfamiliar places. And I was an ensemble person in that. I'm very proud of a lot of the Aerial Silks stuff I've done. So I usually take a song and perform based off the song, using the song as a guideline for where the story's going, and I perform in the silks, and I use my body to represent that. I will say, hold on, I just thought of my favorite thing I had made. It was for a showcase at LSU, and it's like a 3-part, 30-second each bit. One bit, I'm walking on stage and I stop, and this guy, he's tall and he has a black poncho on. He's following me real slowly, kind of scarily. And I see him run away. I freak out. I'm not gonna have that happen. Second part, I'm passed out. I'm tired. Ooh. And he shows up again, walking, still coming. He's still behind me. And I freak out, I run away. A third time, I run on stage, trip and fall. He's right there. Comes up to me, takes out a big knife. I'm freaking out. A Cheetos bag, opens his bag with a knife, and sits down and offers me some Cheetos. And after, it gets the audience start laughing because they were following me in the tense journey. So I would say that's the thing I'm most proud of.
Trace.
I actually wrote a 20-minute one-man show that I did last January, a year ago. That's weird, that was a year ago. But it was about exploring the different queer-ish characters in Shakespeare's canon. And I sort of set it in a bar, and it sort of oscillated through them. Yeah, it was really cool. It was truly one of the last things I did before COVID. And I wrote it and rehearsed it and directed it myself. It was really hard to do. But yeah, it was really fun to do and just sort of invent on the fly with no one telling me anything about it.
Yeah, because if it's the show you made, that's I've worked on stuff like that before. It's you have all the power in deciding, not all the power, but you're still the playwright, and you have more than normal power in deciding how things go. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and the fun part of writing the thing you're performing is you sort of memorize it, but then you're like, oh wait, I know what it is. I can just talk.
Yeah, you get the idea.
A one-man show seems so intense, though, juggling all that yourself.
It was so intense, and I had one public performance, and afterwards I was like, I don't know what just happened. I completely blacked out, did the show, and I was like, I hope you liked it.
Yeah. So I guess first, hi, Mr. Webb. Glad to see you're watching. But I don't act much. So as far as projects that I've worked on that I'm most proud of, I worked on one of my first shorts was actually a documentary. This was right before COVID, so I met this really nice man in Koreatown here in Los Angeles and kind of saw his daily life and his business. And then COVID hit, so I also saw a bit of his transition afterward. So that short little documentary was really awesome. And right now, it's kind of my junior thesis that I'm working on. this is the first thing that I will have written, directed, and also be acting in. So I'm excited about that. I hope you're right, Trace, where I kind of just know what I'm supposed to say in the moment. But yeah, hopefully that'll be my I don't know, I kind of want each new project to be my next proudest thing. So hopefully that becomes my proudest project, the project I'm most proud of.
I haven't done anything like anything that these folks are describing, but I'd say I've got a tie for my favorite two. Well, first, I played Trace Turner in the NJCL officer skit in 2013 at UNLV, and I took his hat and I took his little jeans jacket that he was wearing, and I made a bunch of puns with his name because Trace was the NJCL editor that year, and so the SCL skit making fun of the officers, I played Trace. I'm very proud of that. And hosting That's Entertainment, that was a very fun time. I'd say, like, I don't know, I liked that aspect of JCL because it made That's Entertainment at Nationals is this big production. I mean, I know it's done in a week and it's for a one-time thing and it's an audience of 1,200 or whatever, but it gives people like me who have no theater experience at all a little bit of an into the world of production. And I got to say the funniest line I think I'll ever say on stage, which is, life is like my mom always used to say, life is like a box of third declension nominative singular endings. You never know what you're going to get. It's the funniest thing I've ever said.
Oh my god.
So that's my answer. Ann W in the chat asks for everyone, what is your favorite classically inspired work?
We already gushed about Hadestown, but like we can
we can keep going.
Hadestown is really, I can gush more about it. It's always fun to think about that. But
favorite classical work. Ooh, it's sort of not. It's a video game.
Okay,
I'm
right.
obsessed with it right now. Hades. If anyone's played it on Nintendo Switch,
I've heard of it. I haven't played it yet.
The gameplay is really fun if you like a top-down fighter game, but the story of it, that you're like the son of Hades and you're trying to escape the underworld, and you like encounter like Nyx and Hypnos and Thanatos and like all the Olympians. Like the amount of research and the writing that's involved with it is just like, it feels like such a love letter, to where I frequently feel like classical adapted stuff doesn't get the research that it deserves. But this really feels like it to me, and I'm very about it right now.
Well, Trace, you should tune into the show next week, which is going to be, I'm going to play that game. Because one of the officers...
We'll tune in.
Okay, Rais.
Some JCLive pro gamer stuff.
Rais came and talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever he did his officer report, and I had never heard of it before, and it's a T for teen rated game, so it's appropriate. So I'm going to buy it on Steam and practice this week and try and get a little better about it. And Rais is going to come on and like give me tips because he's played it, and that's going to be the show next week is a review, I guess. A let's play / review of this Hades game.
Sweet.
I was going to save that until the end to make the announcement of what next week's show is going to be, but that's going to be it. So
surprise. So much for the suspense.
And
because there are like more Broadway shows that have Hades, or that have like classical stuff in it.
Well, somebody was telling me, I think, it was Generosa. She and I were talking last week before she came on the show, and she was arguing that Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is a Greek tragedy. She said it's structured the same way. It has the 3 parts. At the end, the hero has felt all the necessary emotions. There's the bit with Bad Horse where the chorus comes in. So
there's a Greek chorus.
There's a chorus. Yeah.
So to the extent that counts as a classically inspired work, yeah.
I'm trying to think of movies now. I've already said Gladiator, even though it's not, didn't get the research it deserved. I think Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I love that movie.
Oh man, how could I forget about that? That's so
My
good.
laptop would play that all the time. That was like always their movie night.
That's so good.
I recently took a classics class. I had never watched it before, but we were studying about Athens a bit, and so the professor recommended it to us, and I love it. Definitely give that movie a watch. George Clooney's in it, if you're a Clooney fan.
It's really good. People who don't know, it's based off of the Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's where it gets its thing from. It's fun.
I always have to give a shout out to Clash of the Titans, the one from the 70s. That's
The
really bad.
1980s, 1970s classic Clash of the Titans.
It's so good, it's so bad. I love that movie.
Have I told you about what my experience with that movie was?
No.
Oh, okay. This is going to be a bit of a ramble, but so when I was in high school, we had it was an all boys high school, right? It was Catholic High that Vincent went to, and down the street was the all girls Catholic high school, which Anne went to. And they only had Latin 1 and 2 at the time. So for the girls who were in Latin 3 or 4, they had to come to our high school to take the class. So they would walk or drive down the street and come to class, you know. And any time that the two schedules of the two schools were off, like if we had an assembly and they didn't or whatever, the girls couldn't come to class, so we couldn't have class that day, right? So for like all the Latin 3s, 4s, and 5s couldn't have class that day. So the teacher would, anytime this happened, our teacher would play the 1980s Clash of the Titans for us. But he would always play it so that only he saw the full movie. Like, he'd play the first 50 minutes of it in second period, the second 50 minutes of it in third period, the third 50 minutes of it in fourth period. So at lunch, we'd like stitch together what the story was. But I saw like the second third of the 1980s Clash of the Titans like half a dozen to a dozen times in a given school year. And then like the next school year, I would see a different third of the movie and it makes sense now.
Oh.
I never knew he did this.
He did that every time the girls couldn't come to class.
I love the idea of teachers just doing what they want because they can. Just like deal with it. Oh man.
So yes, I love that movie too, Trace. At least what of it I've seen. I've never seen the first third of it.
Well, it's on Netflix right now, so you can finally fulfill your high school wishes.
You can learn the whole thing now.
Good.
It's out there. It's
Good.
Beautiful.
Oh man, that's so good. Ugh.
So, gosh, I don't remember what we were talking about. Classically inspired works. Well, while you think of any more, one thing I always like to ask the panelists is, what advice would y'all have for current JCLers who are maybe interested in these kinds of careers?
Well, I would say you already are in the right direction because you hear everyone say, why study Latin or Greek? It's a dead language. Well, you know, there's a lot of modern... We all know the answer to that, and you can answer it in your head because I'm not going to ramble about the answer. But the same is true for art and performing arts and theater and film. You know, it's like, there's a lot of career opportunities out there. Well, you got to find them, make your own. Like I said, define what success means, and success isn't always gonna be you win an EGOT and like, you know, have several long running shows on Broadway, but it means what you want it to mean. So you can still be a successful actor as long as for me, it's finding fulfillment with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would advise that don't stop because someone says you can't be an actor or a director or a performer. Like,
I say, if this is what you love and you know you love it, then just keep doing it, because you're going to find out more about yourself as you're writing, as you're kind of figuring out who you are as a performer, who you are as an artist and a storyteller, and just keep at it. If it's acting, just keep acting. Write your own stuff to act in. If it's writing, just set some time each day and work on it, because you don't want to like kind of lose that that motivation, and you kind of want to keep your creative brain working, really. And yeah, like Vincent said, don't let people discourage you. Like, if this is something you know you want to do, then keep working at it. You're going to find something. You're going to find your place, and you will be so much happier for it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to end up echoing back almost everything that's already been said. But yeah, I mean, it's not easy, and everybody knows that. But what else is easy right now? So if it's something that really does bring you joy and fulfillment, then there's no reason to stop unless it's not what you're doing. And just because, well, let me rephrase. Often pursuing what you are passionate about will ultimately lead to some kind of career within it. Like, there are jobs. People like to say that there aren't, but there's so many jobs, so many different kinds of jobs. And you can sort of combine your skills of like, what am I good at in JCL and what do I enjoy about theater? And there might be something there that links the two. Like for me, writing and my love of mythology sort of like fused the two things for me. So yeah, just keep going. Don't stop.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was distracted. I was reading the chat. Drew Alvarez said, everyone should watch Hercules in New York, Arnold Schwarzenegger's first movie where Hercules just goes to New York. I haven't seen that one. That sounds like a great premise.
I've not heard of that.
Hercules Goes to New York is what it's called?
Hercules in New York.
Hercules in New York.
Hercules in...
It's a 1970 American fantasy comedy directed by... I'm on Wikipedia right now. Oh my god. The then unknown Archibald. He's 22 years old in this. Oh my
baby
god.
Arnold. Little Arnold.
Young Schwarzenegger.
Drew says he fights a bear in Central Park. This sounds amazing.
Wow.
Wait. He fights a bear in Central Park?
There aren't any... In my experience, there aren't any bears in Central Park. The bigger threat would be if Arnold went and tried to fight all the deer in New Jersey.
Oh my god.
A good question from Danielle. How much should someone who's interested in film invest themselves in stage programs?
I think because at my high school, at least, we had kind of a media arts program, but that wasn't quite the same as any film program. So me finding my creative outlet in film was doing a lot of theater. It's a nice background to have, to kind of know what the theater scene is like, because a lot of it does translate. You have a lot of moving pieces, a lot of people working together to make a final product. And so if you enjoy theater, like, definitely do that too. It'll give you some sort of experience. But yeah, film is very different from that. Definitely YouTube's a great place. YouTube has a lot of content to help you with that. So you can kind of, if you don't have a film program at your school, you can kind of do theater, know what that's like, and then also learn kind of the mechanics of camera work, of the different positions you have on a film set versus a theater set. And yeah, I definitely say go for it, because that's what I did, and I loved it.
What was the question again? It was
if you're interested in film, how much stage stuff should you do?
I think it's like two sides of the same coin. Like, obviously there are different intricacies in like stage acting versus film acting, but you'll see plenty of film actors are also like prominent in stage acting. Like Michael Cera has done a number of like live theater stuff, and other actors that do plenty of like live theater stuff. So if you actually want to do acting, I say any acting is good experience. If that's what you want to do, is be an actor, learn how to say no sometimes, but also like if you want to act, take opportunities to act. As for other things, like, I know production management is similar to stage management in theater, so those are very similar things. Like there's a lot of crossover in skills that you can develop in both fields that can translate well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Of like, it depends what you want to do in film, but as I'm thinking through like departments, I'm like, most of it's the same. It's just different application.
Yeah.
Yeah, practice I think is extremely important.
Gotcha. And then one day you too may host That's Entertainment.
Just you wait. We'll write the fun videos and bring back Joe Cicero.
Oh, Joe Cicero. Yeah, there's a link to the Joe Cicero video in the description of this video if y'all want to go check out that particular masterpiece.
For those who don't know, it's a video I made for Fargo's national convention about a good old lawyer suing for the rights of NJCLers at convention.
I think my favorite line in there is my state chair was
my state chair, like, it asked me where my name tag was, and it's like, so and I talked to Joe Cicero. Now I'm the state chair. Like,
I'm the state chair.
That was so much fun. Gosh, Emma Poor also helped me film that stuff. Okay, that's what it was. Boy, was it a time. That was a marathon of like 3 days just editing and filming.
And who's your cat?
Oh, this
Please
here,
tell us.
this is actually my housemate's cat. Her name is Whisker Khalifa, so Wiz Khalifa, but whiskers.
Okay.
Wiz Khalifa?
Yes.
That's incredible. I've never heard that before.
She's precious. An absolute sweetie.
That's great.
She's very pretty.
Oh,
Big
sleepy.
yawn.
She's sleepy. It's okay. It won't bother you.
Oh.
That's great. Well, we should we're getting near the end. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to talk about or say to the audience? Anything else they ought to know?
I about covered all my mental notes I thought of, except for more about like pantomime in Greek theater and how I like mime in modern life. So that's, and I just said it. So there's that.
On the Joe Cicero track, if you're looking for any SC Lawyer merch, first of all, follow the real LSCL on Instagram, and then check out our links there for some quality content.
When you're able to join SCL, join SCL, and also join LSCL, because you know we're pretty premier SCL going on. We're
right.
Yes,
Trace,
and
this
Susan
is your
sure.
recruitment.
So it's your
my
chance,
job.
Trace. You can join now if you want. No pressure.
Right now,
Been
I have the
for
membership.
years now.
And Susan Sure commented earlier, once in SCL, always in SCL. So
Yeah,
This is true.
and that's true. That's true. That's why I felt like I needed to correct that. It's like, no, I'm still in SCL. No, I also paid dues. Like I'm definitely still in SCL. I don't know why I said I wasn't. That's not.
yeah, you have 4 more
Yeah,
years
I
of
was like-
voting membership,
I
Vincent.
still have regular membership.
You're a
for a while.
secondary member.
You're still primary.
I'm still I'm secondary. I still have plenty of time on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never informed me you were leaving LSCL, so that would have been,
Yeah.
that would have been sad.
I don't know. I've been working a lot recently. You know, the brain's a bit funny. You know, it's dark where I am. It just became dark where you are. What time zones? You know,
Time's not real.
Time
this
is
hat-
real.
this hat's on a bit tight. You know, the blood-brain circulation's getting kind of.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to switch over and talk to the officers because we have a couple of officers coming on for 5-minute officer reports. So we'll do that to round out the show. So if y'all, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us.
It's been
Yeah,
a great
great.
panel
That was fun.
discussion. If y'all want to mute yourselves, I have to switch over to another Google Meet. So I'll finish up with the officers and everything, and then I'll come back and thank y'all and tell you good night and everything. So I'll talk to you.
Awesome.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching.
Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on. All right. With that, I've got a couple of things to do. A huge thank you to our guests. Really appreciate their coming on. It's always great to talk to those folks. We've been friends for a long time, obviously. Let's see. The officers are both here. I need to make myself invisible. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Okay, let's switch over. So welcome to the show, Lindy and Nolan. How are y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
Doing well.
Awesome. What have you got for us?
Okay, I'll take it away, Nolan. So I am going to be talking about two things really quickly. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen really quickly to show you guys some classics news. All right, let's see. Okay, can you see this article about the Colosseum?
Yeah.
Okay, so Italy is looking for an engineer to build a new Colosseum floor. They're gonna do this huge renovation on the Colosseum floor. As you can see, $22.5 million, so not a small amount. The floor is gonna be retractable, and it's gonna have, like, as you can read, hidden trap doors and different aspects, so that way people can kind of get a sense of the full use of the Colosseum back, in the ancient times, and they can kind of get an idea of what it was like. And the visitors are going to be able to kind of see the retractable floor and kind of see, the space. So they're doing this major renovation, I guess, to just give people a better sense. And so that's really interesting. I thought it's really cool that they're investing the money, because it obviously is a sizable sum towards, updating, such a historic building, but for people to visit. So I thought that was great. And then also, I don't know if you heard, but Disney Plus announced last year that they're doing a Percy Jackson TV show, and they released the logo. And that's what it's going to look like, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And that's what it's going to look like for the TV show that they're doing on Disney Plus. So that's really something everyone's probably looking forward to. It's going to be pretty great. So that's like two really good pieces of news and classics. So that's really exciting.
Are they going to be able to flood the new Colosseum with its new floor and have naval battles?
Maybe that's what they're aiming for. I hope,
I hope. We can only hope. Gosh. Thanks.
Yeah. They can do whatever they want with $22.5 million. They can really make it nice.
Well, if that project starts up, if you want to keep us appraised of it, that'd be great.
I'll keep on researching. All right, take it away, Nolan.
Well, conveniently enough, I was also going to talk about the renovation of the Colosseum.
Oh, right.
That's okay. I'm just glad we're talking about it, because it really needs the recognition that it deserves. But I am going to talk about some other stuff pertaining to my position. Okay. So here is the article I was going to talk about, but Lindy did such a great job. We can go over and skip over that.
Oh, you picked different sources. Lindy's was a BBC one. That I didn't notice beforehand. Yours was Smithsonian.
It's fine.
Okay.
But so some updates about the website contest and other things related to me. Last month I launched my Slack server for JCL Coco's Webmasters and Secretaries. So if you go to bit.ly/JCL Slack, you can find all the information and the link to join on this Google Doc. So I can post these links in chat if you guys want to. But here's all the information about that. So feel free to join that if you're any secretary, webmaster, or Coco at any level. Also, for all the information for the website contest, you can go to bit.ly/NJCL website contest, and you will get all of the information for that. And then if you have already submitted, make sure that you fill out the sponsor signature form for this year, because this year is so different. We don't actually expect you to be able to submit the form with your sponsor. So if you've already submitted, I've sent you an email, but make sure you send that out so that you say that your sponsor did not help with the website. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Yes. If you could throw those links into the chat, that'd be great.
I will.
Okay. Well, thanks very much. Those are our officers. We'll see y'all again in about a month. That is our show, everybody. We thank you very much, as always, for joining. We're here every Monday from 8 to 9 Eastern. We've always got a fun feature like today's panel discussion, and then we hear from some of the officers. Like we said, next week's show is going to be a video game playthrough / review of this new Hades game. It's apparently quite a love letter to classics fans, like Trace was talking about. I'm going to be downloading it and practicing this week so that I hopefully don't make an absolute fool of myself. Rais would be playing, but he has it on his Switch, and it's hard to stream a Switch without a capture card, so I'm going to download it on my computer so that we can stream it, but Rais is going to be doing a lot of the narration there and telling me sort of where to go and what to do. So tune in next week for that. The week after that, we have... Let's see, I have forgotten. One sec. Which is terrible of me. Oh yeah, we have a local spotlight. So Health Careers High School from San Antonio is going to come on. That will be January 25th, so the week after next. And we'll talk about their club and their officers and their structure and what they're up to in a normal year and what they're up to this year. So tune in for those. That'll be, like I said, next week and the week after. Thanks again so much. It's always a pleasure to see y'all here, and we will see you next week. Cheers. Thanks, everybody.